And welcome back to the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast. On today's very special episode, I have Marcia Joffe-Buoska and Holly Tharnish, who's a secretary with the Artists Cooperative Gallery. Both of you, thank you for joining the show. Holly, Marcia, how are you guys doing today?
Great.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Great. I'm happy you guys were able to make it out. I know it's a little bit dreary out there. Spoilers for when we're recording. You might remember when this day was, but wasn't expecting a cold, rainy day today. I think we were expecting some thunderstorms last night and it was supposed to be clear, but happy you guys still made it out nonetheless. Now, for the listeners at home, I'd love for them to kind of get to peek behind the curtain and learn a little bit about the Artists Cooperative Gallery, how it got started, and how long this amazing place has been around.
Well, I guess that would be me.
Okay.
Well, we're unique in the fact that we've been around for 50 years. And,
Wow.
And next year, actually, we started in October of 1975.
Wow.
And Holly did the research, and we're the oldest
And longest running
cooperative.
in the state of
Wow.
Nebraska.
Well, congratulations on that.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're
That's fantastic.
quite proud of that.
Yeah.
And you probably have to remember that 50 years ago, the art scene in this area was quite a bit different. There weren't the opportunities
Yeah.
or spaces to see art that we currently have. Currently, I'd say it's a thriving situation.
Yeah.
So back then, several area artists got together and had this very unique idea of starting a cooperative gallery, which is unique in that the artists are in charge. The artists put their time, effort, money into keeping the place alive. And 50 years ago, probably the moving force on this was Betty Brome and also Father Lee Lubers from Creighton University. One of our current members actually was on the Articles of Incorporation, so he's been
wow.
here for all 50 years. And with the backing of the Mercer family, they gave us a space actually above M's Pub. There was
cool.
quite a steep staircase. And we were there for many years. I'll tell you when we moved. But originally, the goals, I looked up the original goals and purposes, which are not that different than what we're of course, doing now. But what was unique was that the artists decided they would create a space where work was respected. We would introduce the idea of quality work being available in the area where artists can come and are free to change their work over time. There was no emphasis on sales because the artists kept the place open.
Sure.
And we charged no commission with the idea that all artists would have equal standing, equal responsibilities. So we've always had or desired an interface with the community with our art outreach programs, and we always have an artist member on staff. So we love the interaction with the public.
Love that.
So that hasn't changed at all. However, in 1984, a space became available where we currently are, which is 405 South 11th. It's a corner of 11th and Harney in the Old Market. With Mercer made the space available with the idea that we would do all the improvements, clear it out. I think it may have been a garage.
Oh, gotcha.
Anyway, when
Yeah.
we got it, it was filled with stuff. And fortunately, we had artist members that were good at, drywall and construction and
Some of us are handy.
yeah. So we basically remodeled that space, and that's where we currently are. And since next year is our 50th anniversary, we are planning a invitational show in September where we hope to invite everyone that has been a member at one time or another. And over the 50 years, there's been roughly 250 artists that have come through. We're quite proud of that.
Yeah, that's very impressive to even make it to the 49th year, let alone the upcoming 50th year here. That's utterly impressive. So with the utmost respect, I'd love to ask you both. Marcia, we'll start with you, and then Holly. How long have you both been a part of the Artists Cooperative Gallery?
Well, I first joined in 78.
Okay.
And I was new to the area, just out of graduate school, knew no one. My husband had lived and worked in the area, so was familiar with the cooperative, which would have been, 3 years?
3 years after it started?
And suggested that I check it out. And it was a great opportunity because it was a way to meet other like-minded people and get to know the community a little. And I took a break when I had kids and came back when a friend of mine needed some assistance working there. So
I love that.
I've been there. I'm going on my 4th year.
Okay.
And I've been sitting on the board for 3 of those 4 years.
Wow.
So,
impressive. Well, congratulations on both of those and being a part of something so long as well. I am curious. There's a little bit of a curveball question for you. I know I told you I wasn't going to throw any, but this one's an easy curveball question, I promise. I tend to find that this one's an easy one for artists anyway. What's your favorite form of media? Or medium, I should say, of art?
Well, I'm a little biased because I'm a painter, but I prefer painting. So whenever I go to a museum, I'm one that could sit in front of a painting for hours and just look at it and
Watercolor, oil, acrylic?
Oil is my favorite,
Very challenging one.
Yeah.
Very, very.
It's quite an old master's form of art.
Very. So impressive.
I enjoy it.
Very impressive.
And currently, Holly has a show up, a featured show at the Artists Cooperative.
Do you?
Yes, I am in our featured show this month.
Congratulations.
It's up for the whole month of November. It's me and 2 other of our member artists.
I need an applause button here. Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Marcia, same question to you. Do you have a favorite medium of art that you tend to enjoy more?
Well, I began as a painter and expanded into mixed media and mosaic.
Okay.
But one thing I enjoy, and maybe it's through teaching, is the vast variety of
That's fair.
materials and techniques out there.
I've always been fond of oil paintings myself and pointillism. Pointillism has always been that really very detailed but very hard to accomplish what you're trying to do. So always have a great amount of respect for people who can master those elements and command the colors that they need to. So very, very impressive. I just always, like I said, easy curveball, but I was just curious nonetheless. But I do see on your guys' website that you also have monthly exhibitions. You just mentioned that you are part of which. I'm so curious though, what kind of goes into that process of selecting an artist that's going to be featured?
Yeah, so once a year, all of our member artists get together and we lay out the schedule for the next year. And we feature around 2 or 3 of our member artists every month, and they come together around a central idea that is of their choosing, and they put on the show themselves. And it's really a special way for us to highlight each of our members individually.
I love that. So is it artists of similar styles and techniques to where they're going to be canvassing similar projects, or are these vastly different artists?
They can be very different.
Okay.
Like, for example, I'm quite a figurative painter. I work in oils, acrylics, and watercolors. And the other 2 artists that I'm showing with, one is a ceramicist who does a lot of plant life sculptures. Cool. And the other one is an abstract painter who does very kind of cubic forms. So all of our art is very different. We approach it very differently, but we all came around this central idea. Our theme this month, our title is Building Castles in Our Minds.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, the phrase building castles have been a phrase used to describe ideas or stories that we build in our minds, and then we can build upon them and create them in reality. So that was the idea that we came up for this month. And though our work is very different, we came around the central idea. So they all kind of flow together.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what is some of the kind of unsung work that goes into this? Obviously, there's a lot to organize, and you're only one person. I imagine it's probably broken up between a few of you, but I imagine there's a lot of moving pieces that go into this. I'm curious to what some of that might be that maybe doesn't get the praise that it should.
Yeah, so when artists are in the feature show, we are responsible for doing all of the promotions, cutting all of the labels, and hanging everything. We hang everything ourselves. And then the rest of the gallery work we divvy up between us. We're on committees, and so we have a committee that handles all of the maintenance, all of the infrastructure that goes into the building. I'm on the hanging committee, which we come in once a month and rehang the entire gallery, so everything is new every month.
That's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
It's all us artists that are doing it and putting in the time and effort to make everything nice.
Well, it sounds like that just further speaks in testament to your guys' passion for making this work and making the show what it needs to be and should be for people to experience.
Absolutely.
So something else that I saw on your guys' website that I thought was super cool, I wanted to point out for people and for you to talk about a little bit, is you have a high school wall art. First off, what a cool idea. Inspiring the youth as well. I love it. It's a phenomenal idea in a multitude of layers. I'm so curious though, what is the best way a student reaches out and potentially tries to get on that wall to be showcased?
Yeah, we love the high school art wall as a form of our outreach. We work directly with local art teachers, actually, to organize that, and we do it. It changes every month throughout the school year, and then in the summer months, we often highlight work from local colleges, art students. So we've done UNO, and we've done Metro Community College. Yeah, it's just a great way to do outreach and bring new visitors into the space and highlight what's going on in the community.
So probably the best bet would be to contact your art teacher.
Yeah, I was just about to say, talk to your art teacher.
And on our website, there's a tab for information about that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because I know, actually, I had a guest on the show when we first actually got going, and I believe it was either April. I think it was April, because May is nonprofit month, if I remember correctly. So I think we did this in April. It was an Omaha Spotlight. This young man is named Reese Garrett. I want to say he's a sophomore in high school. He has a physical disability, but he makes some of the most beautiful artwork that you could see. And on our tour that I'll give you on later in the show, Connie has some back in her office. You can see it firsthand. But no, I'm going to reach out to him and tell him he needs to talk to his art teacher about this.
Absolutely.
He's a very talented young man. But yeah, a little side note on that part of things. Yeah. But now, speaking of displayed artists, of course, you guys house some beautiful work. I'm not talking just, there's a nice picture here. There's a nice little thing. It is beautiful from head to toe and exhibit to exhibit. I'm so curious, though, how the process goes when an artist wants to be featured on a wall or wants to get their work displayed. I mean, obviously you can't house everybody. There has to be a finite limit. Right. So how does that process really work, and what goes into some of that work?
Yeah, so every year our applications open every June and close every August. So during the summer, people can apply, and then after that, we review the applications, and we have a panel of our artist members who will go through an interview and look at work samples of everyone who's applied. And each year, it kind of depends on how many new members we can take.
Sure.
We usually like to keep a good variety. So if we're losing a sculptor, we like to hire a sculptor.
Obviously, you can't have 20 photographers and 20 painters. And I get that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we usually have a membership somewhere around 35. And it, of course, is based on the quality of the work, but there's other aspects we consider because we are a cooperative. So you have to be able to participate. And minimally, that's staffing the gallery once a month, as well as serving on committees. So that might eliminate some people that are either further away or their schedules don't permit involvement like that.
No, and I imagine that might be a tough hurdle when you come across maybe somebody who's very talented, but their schedule just doesn't allow that, which I can imagine that might be a frustrating hurdle that you guys have to challenge a lot. So I know that that's a lot of work that goes into just getting somebody into the program. So
you have to be really committed to the gallery.
Very much so. Now, if I'm a listener, I'm wanting to stop by. What kind of mediums do I expect to see when I open that door?
Pretty much everything.
Pretty much everything,
right? We have paintings, drawings, sculptures, photography, mosaic, glasswork, bronze work, assemblage, fabric work, mixed media, digital collage, woodworking, ceramics, and that's just a short list.
Did you mention jewelry too?
Jewelry.
Yeah, I was
we have
gonna
a
say,
couple jewelry makers.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say there's something for everyone there.
Absolutely. No, and I just thumbing through the website because I'm planning a little trip out to the Artists Cooperative Gallery with my significant other as well. So I'm going to try to make that a nice little fun day out because we both love art. Yeah. Just thumbing through the website, I can already tell certain artists that I'm going to go probably see first just because they're my style of art. Don't let my my chromatic blue fool you today.
Anyone working at the gallery, you're an artist, you can, if there's a favorite artist that they can tell you when they're working next.
Very cool.
Show up there. We also have binders that give more of a description of each artist's work. So if they're not around, you could find out a little bit more about them.
That's very cool. Yeah. Don't let my looks fool you. I'm usually rocking a bright Hawaiian t-shirt or something of the like here. So don't let me fool you. I'm a little mono-colored today. But now, what's a medium of art that I feel like this is actually kind of an interesting question for both of you, since you're a strong painter and you've shifted mediums in the industry. What do you feel is a medium of art that you think sometimes might go underappreciated or very misunderstood?
Well, we have two, actually. So one of them is digital art. We have a digital artist at the gallery, and one thing that she's mentioned before, in the age of AI-generated art, it can be really difficult for viewers to discern what is AI-generated, what's digital work, and what's the difference. And digital work, it's very much still crafted by the hands of the artist, even though it is on a computer or on a different technological medium. But so that's one that we feel like is a little misunderstood at times. And another one is traditional printmaking. My sister is actually a printmaker, and the processes that they use to make their prints is still the traditional way they used back in the Renaissance when it was first developed. And we actually don't have a traditional printmaker at the gallery, and you don't see it a lot when you go out to museums and galleries. So I feel like it's a little underrepresented. Interesting.
That's pretty. I didn't even know about the latter on that one. So that's good to kind of learn about some of those unsung jobs, or maybe things that, hey, if you are an art lover at heart, hey, there's some avenues that you could take that might be advantageous for you. I know, just to kind of stem off of something that I always found was underappreciated, was primitive art. So my grandpa taught me at a very young age how to flint knap. So I can make arrowheads, I can make arrows and spears and all these kind of things. Cool. And I always thought that was such a cool thing, but it's never anywhere, because it's hard to mass produce a lot of that, first off, because it can break very easily. It's glass. Or it's a very brittle stone. But I've always had a very fond appreciation of people who can bring some of those to life. And being an origin printmaker like that, that's a very tall task. And I feel like it gravitates in that same field of just, it's so hard to keep replicating. So more power to them. For those of you out there, more power to you. Now, what do you think is something that you would say is probably a difficult part of your job, or maybe just feels like it goes unnoticed, behind the scenes kind of thing, that you feel like it maybe needs a little glory, or just doesn't get the glory it deserves?
So again, I have two answers. One of them is the fact that myself and most artists that I meet are all introverts, and we are in an industry where we constantly have to be reaching out and promoting ourselves, which is very difficult to do. But it's just a part of the job that we have to do, and we just have to do it. Another one is that I've realized, especially working the gallery on my days, it's difficult because I put so much time and energy and effort into my works, and it's really difficult to see people look at it for less than 30 seconds and then keep on walking by. It breaks my heart a little bit every time that happens. But again, I think it's just part of the territory and living in the world we are, in the culture we are, where we're bombarded with images and our attention spans are so short. That's been something we had to adapt to.
And I'd love to get both of your takes on this. It kind of made me think of this question here. So for a listener coming into the art gallery, maybe they're not so cultured in the way of art and art viewing. When somebody stops and they're looking at an artist's work, what do people usually look at? What are they looking for? Or is it just to absorb what that picture is? Because again, it's one of those that, to your point, sometimes people just kind of glance at something and walk by, where that something took hours and hours and hours of process to make.
And sometimes months and years.
And a lot of passion and soul that goes into these art projects to, like you said, only to turn around and almost not be scoffed at, but to just be brushed to the side can be painful. So what is something that people should maybe stop to do in that situation, maybe to help reciprocate the art that's trying to be projected to them?
I think just spending time with it, actually taking the time to sit or stand in front of it, really take in what you're seeing. When I look at paintings, for instance, I like to tried to see every brush stroke and tried to feel what the artist was feeling when they made those brush strokes and what is the actual meaning of the piece and how it applies to my life and how we can connect, how humans can connect through an image on a wall. It's, I would say, just spending time with it.
It's an interesting take. I like that. Marcia, anything to add to that?
I would agree with that. And also, art can be appreciated on many levels.
It's very
and
true.
So just the physical, the colors or how the brush strokes, how it was created, but also trying to understand maybe what the artist is trying to communicate and relate it to your own experiences, because I've enjoyed seeing that, how a person's interpretation of what they're seeing can be quite a bit different than what the artist intended, but they are putting their own stamp on it and relating it to, their own experiences. And I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, art is so subjective. It can mean anything to anybody, and it can mean something different to everybody. And so it's really beautiful to see people making connections.
I agree. And I to go on to your point as well, I think I always reference back to Van Gogh. I think Vincent van Gogh was the prime example of that, to where he commands such amazing technique and color, and it is so haunting. Because there's almost a dullness to it, to where he's representing the pain in life, and he's representing a lot of things that it takes time to appreciate those things. Where if I just walked by and I saw a vase of sunflowers on the wall, I mean, I might not have realized, if you look a little closer, you might see something else. So I do like that perspective of take a little more time, appreciate a color maybe a little bit more, make you fixate on something else. I like that a lot. Now, are all the pieces of art for sale at the gallery? And if so, how do listeners purchase them?
Just about everything at the gallery is for sale.
Okay.
We don't have an online shop or anything.
Sure. So you got to come see it in person, people.
If you're visiting, I would say just talk to the artist working the desk, and they can help you make that purchase.
Okay.
Cash, credit card, debit card, whatever.
So is it still kind of a private brokered deal between the artist and customer, or is it still, does it go through the cooperative?
We all, as members, agree to sell each other's work and represent each other's work.
Okay.
So the sale goes through the gallery, but it's dispersed.
We
have no commission.
Right. You had mentioned that in the beginning, so that's where I was like,
probably artworks from $5, maybe less, to multiple thousands.
There's a wide range of price points and works, and we actually do have a small gallery space where all of the works are pretty much under $100.
Wow.
And Dylan, back to your question, is everything for sale? I think the positive about the Cooperative Gallery is they don't necessarily have to be for sale.
Right.
Like in the past, if an artist has a significant piece that maybe was a commission or maybe was done for a different location, you can show it. Or maybe it represents a change in what you're doing. You can show it and have it not be for sale, which that wouldn't probably fly too well at a commercial gallery. But
probably not, but I understand that to the artist's lament usually is how they have to let go of some of those prized pieces that they never wanted to let go in the first place. So I understand having that freedom to do that, I think is a very powerful thing for those artists. So way to contribute back to control for the artist. I really appreciate that. Now, in your opinion, I'm very curious on this one too. What is the toughest part about operating the art gallery such as yours?
I would say just the fact that we are artist run. There is no governing body above us, so we are responsible for upkeeping the building and doing some of the not so glamorous parts of it for the betterment of all of us. If the gallery's doing good, then we're all doing good.
Right.
So.
And if they're within 35 members, there has to be some consistency as far as, opening on time and procedures at the desk and all that kind of. So that might be challenging.
I can understand.
Everybody on the same page.
Right. I can understand that, having the same line of, hey, we need to have this standard, each and every person that's working there. 35 people's a lot to hand off. So, no, I completely understand that. Now, if I'm a listener at home and you want me to know something about the Artists Cooperative Gallery, what is it?
We touched on it before, but I think that we don't take a commission. And so when you do make a purchase, that entire purchase price is going directly back to the artist. And you're literally investing into the local art community. And that's an important thing, and it's a powerful thing.
And also, I think the fact that there's always an artist staffing it. And we love for people to look around, and everyone has a different style. Some people just like to wander on their own. But if you do want to engage with someone and ask questions and have a conversation, we are always willing and available.
Yes, we like to keep up to date on what each other's working on and all of our processes, so that when people do come in and we love them to ask questions, then we can answer those questions.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun too, especially when you can talk to the local artists themselves. I think that bridges a really nice connection to the pieces as
Some
well.
of our artists even bring work to do while they're on.
I do that often.
Oh, that's fun.
And bring in something to draw or paint on while I'm working the desk, and people love seeing
Conversation
the process
starter.
of
Right.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be a great conversation piece, walking up and seeing a painting coming to life. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, kind of the same question here for you, but instead of about the Artists Cooperative Gallery, what's something you'd maybe want listeners to know more about when it comes to art and the related fields? I know that's kind of a tougher one. That's kind of a big, broad question, but I feel like in today's world, we're a lot better about reciprocating artists and the processes and, being more in tune with how that goes. But I still feel like there's some things that maybe fall through the gaps, and that you had pointed out a couple of mediums that really fall by the wayside or just go unsung in general. So if there were any more that came to mind, I was just kind of curious.
Just paying attention and investing into your local art community. You know, there's a lot of big artists in places like New York and LA and Washington, D.C. And places like this, it's very much grassroots. It's very much local people making art. And
so many of our artists are multifaceted.
Yes.
And have so many peripheral skills that can be applied in all different situations that you can really have an impact on the community in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so support a local artist. Come on out to the Artists Cooperative Gallery. And I guess one of the best ways that somebody can do that is with a membership, or is that for the artists themselves on the membership? I was curious about the membership I had seen. So for the artists themselves wanting to be a part of this, there's a membership process.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to explain how that works.
Yeah, so that would be the application process. Like I had said, it just depends on how many members we're losing to how many we can take in. But yeah, so applications open every June, and then there's an interview process.
And we also pay a dues. We're the ones that keep the doors open and the
there's
lights
a membership
on.
dues, and then we each commit to working one day at the front desk and participating in committee work. And we also meet once a month, all of us artists, to discuss gallery business.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So that's all for my burning business questions here for you. Unless you have anything else that you'd like to add on about the Artist Cooperative Gallery, excuse me.
It's a very no pressure place. You could come in, if you're just wandering by and have time to kill, you could come in and always find something to look at and someone to talk to.
Yeah.
You know what might be a great question the listener might be in their head right now? If I walk in, what's it cost me to walk in the door?
Nothing. It's
free.
Always free.
Yep.
Free to walk in.
Always welcome. And same thing for our receptions, which are usually the first Friday of every month.
Yeah.
The gallery changes entirely every month. We rehang everything. So, of course, we encourage repeat involvement because you'll see something different every time.
Of course. So first Friday of each month, come on out, especially the first Friday of each month to come see the new settings, the new displays.
Right.
Of course, if you're listening here in the month of November, you'll be seeing Holly on display, all of her work. And I'm actually going to be stopping by, so I can't wait to come by and see all that. I'll say hi if you guys are there. If not, no worries. I'll leave a business card and you'll know I was there. But now to kind of wrap the show up, I like to leave people off with the personal side of things. We've gotten to know about the Artists Cooperative Gallery. We've got to know a little bit about you guys and your business side of things. A little bit personal note, though, to call it the dessert of the show. We'll call it that way because you always remember dessert. Now, it's here. Unfortunately, I'm the summer child. I'm the weird Nebraska guy that likes the heat. I am not a fan of when the air hurts my face, but we're getting closer and closer to it. Now that it's here, fall, winter-ish is now upon us. What's something that you guys always look forward to?
Well, fall and winter are my favorite seasons.
I just dumped all over that. I'm so sorry.
My soul comes alive when the trees start turning colors. So, like, just everything. The weather, the comfy sweaters, the hot drinks. I'm just here for all of it.
My girlfriend's the same way, so you're fine.
And I'm a spring and summer diehard gardener, love to be outside. But I've been working on some pieces for our holiday show, the theme of which Holly came up with. And so it involves, well, I happen to be snow, pine, whatever. And I'm surprised that I'm actually looking forward to, colder weather. So we'll be having a holiday show in December. It opens on the 3rd and our reception is on the 6th.
And it's an all-member show, so all of us artists will have work in the show.
Wow. Very fun, very cool. Something to look forward to here for the listeners as well, especially when the air starts to hurt your face. Come warm up with the artists at the Artists Cooperative Gallery, of course. Now, I jokingly call us all spoiled here in Omaha because there's so much to go do. There's so much to go eat. There's so much of everything right now, which is a great problem to have. It's a beautiful problem to have, but it always leads me to the dying question. What's your current Mount Rushmore of Omaha? If I'm coming in out of town, where are you going? You got to see these.
Well, I love hitting the museums.
Of course.
So the Durham Museum would be my pick. I go at least once a year with my family, and every winter they have the giant Christmas tree in front, and I just love walking through and learning about the history of the area.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. And one place I haven't been to that's on my to-do list is the Joslin. I just really, I mean, since they've reopened, I haven't been there yet.
I haven't either.
Right. Yeah. I really want to see that. Mm-hmm. And I always encourage people to see the zoo, which is one of my favorites.
Number 1 in the year again. Or in the world again this year.
Right.
Yeah. Nope, it is always one of those. My sister didn't realize what the big deal was. She's from Denver. So for years and years and years and years, she always hears about the Omaha Zoo, the Omaha Zoo. Well, she moved here a couple years ago, and she has a little one now. I'm like, well, you're going to take him to the zoo, right? Yeah, we're going to go. I talked to her the weekend after she had went, and she goes, I didn't know it was that big. I was like, oh, you weren't prepared.
It's amazing.
You were in your hiking shoes. But I hope, I've kept hearing rumblings, and I hope the rumors are true. I have no validation if they are, but I've heard the polar bears might be coming back.
Ooh.
Yes. I want to say it's in the next year.
Yeah, like I think that's the next.
To come back.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That was.
I missed that exhibit so much. Yes. I remember that as a kid, and that was like the all-time favorite.
Yeah.
No, but I know they expanded the cat museum or the cat exhibits as well. So there's some more tigers back in there and some different animals. That zoo is always one that we could talk about forever. You know, I've invited them onto the show, but a small little guy like us, we're not going to get them. But if they ever came on, that would be the funnest podcast ever. Yeah. I'd probably go to them. Yeah. Well, Holly, Marcia, thank you again so much for joining the program. Before we let you go, is there anything else you'd love for listeners to know or anything you'd like to reiterate?
Just come and see us.
Yeah.
Come and see them.
Come visit.
Yeah. Of course, we have had the distinct pleasure of sitting down with Holly Tharnish, the secretary at the Artists Cooperative Gallery, and Marcia Joffe-Buoska. Did I get that right?
You did.
Man, I'm good with names sometimes. Only on Wednesdays, but you know. No, I really genuinely appreciate you guys making some time out, coming on out today. And of course, listeners at home, we genuinely appreciate you listening and tuning in each and every day. But keep those ears right here. We got more coming up on the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast.